Shifting our mindset, looking at TypeScript as an extension for JavaScript instead of it's a new language. In this episode, I'm going to share my experience, how I found it's useful or, or not useful by switching that mindset. So, if you are joining today, I am Nish and I'm a full-time developer. In my podcast, I'm sharing my journey from JavaScript to TypeScript, and it's not ended, it's ongoing. I'm a full-time developer working from 9 to 6 and beyond. So, welcome. I think this would be the key episode in this whole series, guys, because I think this is the key point or the main turning point um, in my journey from JavaScript to TypeScript. Although I've been working with so many different languages, sometimes when I get a new language, my head start to fill with lots of thoughts, not necessarily excitement. Sometimes considering the limited time we have, would it worth investing time learning a new language? That's the main questions I'm getting, especially as a person who had some bad experience in the past, spending too much time learning technology and suddenly disappearing. Given, of course, we have some things that we can carry forward to our next journey, but it's okay with a tech stack, but programming language is a great investment. So when I started TypeScript, earlier I was playing with CoffeeScript, mainly from the JavaScript background. Of course, I'm sure you guys familiar with CoffeeScript as well, especially a person coming from the JavaScript background. So TypeScript, I found, so to say, is it going to be uh, another language that I would have to learn everything from A to Z and then get some value? And with that mindset, initially, I approached TypeScript as a new language. And that's the truth, guys. Because sometimes we feel it would be nice to have a fresh start rather than thinking through things too much. Just jump into the tech and try it out. So that's how I started as well, looking at TypeScript as a new language, reading the handbook, referring to some of the books published. Um, but the issue I had was in that approach, it was more towards learning rather than using TypeScript. Given that when I started TypeScript, um, I was mainly working in my day-to-day in JavaScript, so it was during my leisure time or my personal time I had to spend, as we all do, learning new tech stuff. So it was a bit challenging to see the value. Um, and also it was overwhelmed with lots of information. And uh, the early documentation, I found the information were a bit scattered. So it demanded a little bit of serious attention. So given that, guys, I started with looking into the documentation and starting from the type annotations and move from there. But since I had this mindset of looking TypeScript as a new language, I had to the time I spent mostly reading through things rather than trying them out. Um, because I wasn't sure was that knowledge I had was good enough to start and do something. And so I had this mental, psychological war inside my head. Um, but still, I managed to progress by doing different little tiny projects. I spent most of the time learning the class concepts because I felt because my approach was TypeScript as a new language. So I thought, given my main background is in Java, so I felt it's all right. So it's similar to Java, and then the then I hit this barrier of structural typing, duck typing concept, which is kind of I had to do a little bit of unlearning of nominal type system concepts. So it was I felt it's lots of information, and yeah, I mean I found it fine. I mean we can learn something and manage to do something, but still uh, I didn't feel that I had the right productivity or the efficiency I was looking at uh, learning TypeScript. Because the promise was um, we can do better using TypeScript, and it took a little bit time for me to absorb that value in practical sense. Um, then, guys, the magic happened. I think it was evolving with the documentation as well. Uh, But when I more further spend time with the documentation than secondary resources, I kind of started to connect the dots. And I did a YouTube video as well on this one, given that example. Uh, then I started to see the value, not adding any syntax of TypeScript, just by using JavaScript itself in the editor of TypeScript. I managed to kind of see a little light there, the value of getting that feedback. And then by doing little changes like annotating the type of variables, the little steps started to give me a really positive feedback rather than looking it like a larger knowledge base that I had to grasp in a one go. And guys, with that, I mean, I'm looking back, I feel it now. I think my mindset perspective changed to think that TypeScript is kind of a utility or an extension. I mean, I didn't have that word at that time, and I'm picking up now after reflecting of JavaScript, which is, of course, that's the real case of TypeScript. Um, but it's easy to say, but as tech guys, we need to realistically, or we need to have enough evidence to accept something, right? And that's, I think, common thing that all the engineers share. So I had the same kind of mindset, but seeing that feedback from the tooling and spending more time with documentation alone, I think I understood, or I got convinced, so to say, that TypeScript is an extension for JavaScript. And I don't have to learn everything to start to use TypeScript in a productive way in my application, day-to-day application. So this, guys, this mindset shift, once it happened, I think I felt I got to the right track. Given that I had to learn this TypeScript on my background, um, along with my busy life of working with other commitments, and I think I kind of discovered the right way of approaching uh, learning TypeScript in a productive way. And that mindset shift, guys, gave me a great confidence and also a passion to learn this language because I started to see the benefit I'm getting. And rather than going through the whole documentation at once, then I took this approach of going step by step. And if you can see, probably if you have seen my YouTube videos, I'm all the time encouraging new joiners to use that playground bit in documentation, because I think that was something I missed, and that kind of uh, lost so much time for myself. I could have invested to learn it in a more productive way. So with that mindset shift, guys, I started to uh, learn TypeScript in a more meaningful way, so to say. It was just I approach it in a little bit harder way, because most of the languages I encountered, I always felt that I could learn something language and utilize those skills in learning next language. But I never encountered this kind of very direct relationship between two languages. And once you learn it or notice it, you can't unlearn it. You feel like, right, I'm doing the JavaScript and with the safety net of TypeScript. And that realization is something that we have to personally experience, I would say. It's not just by um, reading a book or something. It has to realize by ourselves. Once we have that confidence, everything is getting to the track. And that's what I felt. So my suggestion is, guys, if you are starting today in TypeScript, don't try to grasp everything at once. You don't have to. It's not like another language. You just have to copy your existing JavaScript code into an editor. If you, in your VS Code or in online editor, somewhere that we have the tooling of TypeScript, and you will see by the feedback we are getting from that tooling what we need to change. And every time you change to fix a feedback, you're actually using TypeScript, and you already learned and use TypeScript. So if you do one fix per day, eventually you will get to know so many things. And I think, guys, that's the right way of approaching this great extension for JavaScript. Because I remember when I uh, started to do the TypeScript, I spent more time learning the class concept, spent more time learning about the type manipulation using index signatures, conditional types, and those are the kind of, some of them are recent additions. But the going to the depth, feeling that in the depth we have all the value, I mean, which is very normal kind of mindset uh, that as human beings. So, but guys, in TypeScript, you can achieve so many things, even if you're not knowing those kind of, uh, so to say, advanced concepts. The reason is, sometimes in your project or a project I'm working on, sometimes we don't use those advanced concepts yet. And for example, like the interfaces. Now, interface we use most of the time as a object type definition, but also we can use it as a class extension, right? We can use a implement a class in the object oriented concept. But sometimes you only need just to define the shape of your object, so you just need the object type definition usage. And sometimes somebody else might need the object oriented one. So it's just we need to pick the one we really need. So in the interface concept, the first application would be use it as a object type definition. So we can use that in the parameters as a return type or just annotate a variable. So even if you don't know about the use of implements in the class concepts, we can still get the benefit of TypeScript just using that type annotation. So so guys, I think that's what I feel like a good strategy if you are joining today from any language, but I target especially for the people like me who are coming from the JavaScript background. Just start from uh, an editor with tooling integrated of TypeScript. Just copy paste your JavaScript code and start from there and add the improvement. Sometimes you might not be using classes because it could be just some functions in a module. Then probably you don't need all of them, like the class concepts, but you might need in the future. But when it needed, let's use them. Like conditional types, you might not need them right now. It's good to know about them, but we should try not to make that as a barrier or think like it's a knowledge gap as of now, because that will give us the perception that TypeScript is a new language or complicated. I mean, it's not true, but that's how our psychology works. So I would say by doing, we can learn more, and also we get the right confidence, and gradually we can increase it. Same with the index signatures as well. We need it, like sometimes handling metadata and things, so it's more future proof. But not having that, still you can get some advantage by just using simple things like interfaces concept, type annotations, optional types, read only, and those kind of little things. So so guys, the core idea I'm trying to share with you is try not to think that TypeScript as a new language. It's definitely an extension for JavaScript, and I suggest you to, as an action to take, if after you listen to this one, just copy whatever the JavaScript code you have into VS Code with TypeScript tooling enabled. It's automatically enabled in VS Code anyway, guys. But if you try it on online editor in the TypeScript documentation, that would be a great start as well. So so yeah, so I think we covered uh, how the perspective of TypeScript changing as an extension for JavaScript uh, helped me in my journey. And I think you probably guys got some understanding about the psychological barriers I had as well, because guys, we usually don't developers share our psychological things, but I think it's worth it, especially to helping for the new joiners. We all are going through the same thing, um, but I feel it's nice to share uh, because we are a community. Um, and guys, hopefully you pick a couple of strategies that you could potentially use in your journey. Um, yes, I think that's pretty much, guys, I want to share in this episode. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for listening so far, if you are still with me. And yeah, hopefully I will share some more information about my journey from JavaScript to TypeScript. And yeah, so if you guys have any suggestions or any questions, feel free to share. I'm more than happy to get your uh, feedback and improve my podcast as well. Uh, So yes, guys. So we'll catch up again in a next episode, and I think I might cover some more uh, way of or the some of the probably picking up one of the feature or I try to learn and how I tackled it, and what kind of experience I had in the next episode. All right, cheers, guys.